Hi, welcome back to the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge. My name is Dr. Job Mogire from the House of Mastery. This week, we are speaking about action. We started this month by speaking about clarity. We spoke about necessity. Last week, we spoke about energy, and now we're trying to bring things together by speaking about action. Because at the end of the day, all that counts is what I do and what you do. And specifically today, I want us to speak about what I called the tenacity advantage, or the advantage of tenacity. And tenacity is a word that I love because as a physician, I have seen all sorts of, don't get grossed out by this, but all sorts of body secretions that patients sometimes produce in the hospital. And when we use the word tenacious, it means it's the kind of material that requires, this patient will require assistance for them to get rid of that material. When you think about any substances that are tenacious, it means it's not hard. It's not hard, hard. It is, but it is thick enough that you're not going to scrape it off easily. It's, if you think of, for example, excuse me. All right, that one was tenacious. You can't get rid of it easily. Tenacious. And we are trying to apply this word tenacity to our habits, to our goals, to our actions, to our desire, to our determination. Tenacity, being tenacious, what does it mean, being tenacious to you? There are many definitions you could use, but one that I'm going to reference right now is the quality or the fact or habit or disposition of being able to grip onto something or to stick onto something and hold on firmly. And that can apply to me and to you in terms of how we approach our life. Are we tenacious? Are we, to an extent, like a tree that gets rooted? Except for me and you, we choose where to get rooted. We can choose where and when and how and for how long we will get rooted onto something that matters to us. Tenacious, being tenacious, and that's the source of the word tenacity. The quality, the fact, the disposition, the choice of holding on firmly to something, gripping onto something. There is a ton of words that are used as synonyms for this word tenacity. But before I give you some of those, when you think of the word tenacity, the closest replacement perhaps is persistence. Tenacity and persistence. But I would like you to write down at least 5 words. And you write down 5 words which, when you hear the word tenacity, you think of. If you were to replace the word tenacity, the quality, the habit, the disposition, the perspective of holding on firmly to something, whether it's an idea or a goal or a habit or a choice or a project, if you think of holding on firmly to something, what other words come to your mind? In other words, what synonyms come to your mind? Don't Google it. Try and see what you can come up with. See what there is in your mind. What concepts are activated, even if it's a phrase, but ideally the words. What words come to your mind when you think about the word tenacity? And I would like to hear, perhaps just write it. We'll see whether we can come together at the end of to see what words you come up with. So what words come to your mind when you think about the word tenacity? So here are some examples, and I'm just going to throw at you several examples and see which of these resonate and which of these you came up with. Persistence, I had already mentioned that. Pertinacity, it's persistence. I think somebody was creating this word ages ago, and they looked at persistence and tenacity, and they came up with pertinacity. But the common ones like determination, perseverance, firmness, resolve, patience, insistence, diligence, which is a beautiful word that I really like. Of course, words like such as obduracy or obstinacy are usually used for their negative connotation, but they are part of, of, of tenacity, of persistence. Single-mindedness, single-mindedness, that is an element of tenacity. When I become single-minded, I hold on to an idea. Hopefully it's a progressive and positive idea, and I stick with it until I see it manifest. If it's a goal or if it's a habit, until it becomes part of my life, I hold onto it. Tireless or tirelessness, indefatigability, staunchness, purposefulness. A few more examples: stickability, restlessness, maybe. Resoluteness, that's the same thing as resolve. Patience, you require patience to be tenacious. Steadfastness. So we are speaking about tenacity today as an element that is so important in terms of how we get to where we really want to go. And I want to share with you what I call, I hope I'm not overusing the word pillars, but I want to share with you what I call the pillars of tenacity. The pillars of tenacity. In other words, these are ingredients that will help me and help you become tenacious. The pillars of tenacity. The first one is definite purpose. Definite purpose. It is easier for you to stick onto a journey which you know where it leads you. In other words, why are you on this journey? I am on this journey because I want to become a better writer, because I'm becoming a better speaker, because I'm becoming a better consultant, because I'm becoming a better programmer, because I'm becoming an amazing student, because I am growing an empire, because my family depends on this. Definite purpose. What is the purpose of your overarching goal? When you look at the goal itself, when you go down to write where this goal is leading you, when you think about 65 and the paragraphs that you wrote or from other people's perspective, and you wrote from your own perspective, in which way does your current overarching goal lead you to where you want to go? Because you will need a definite purpose. Definite purpose will give you the energy. It will activate the energy that you need. It will create the necessity you need. It will create greater clarity around the journey you are on. I like to say that your why will create your way. Your why will create your way. The more definite your why is, the more definite your way will become. When you know your why, when you have a compelling purpose will enhance your clarity, it will multiply your energy, it will amplify your necessity, it will create your way. Your why will create your way. So the first pillar that you and I need to be tenacious on the journey, to be persistent, to be perseverant, to be resolute, to be relentless, to be single-minded, is a clear, a definite purpose. A definite purpose. That's the first pillar. The second pillar for tenacity, the second pillar that you and I need to be tenacious on our journey is definite, a compelling desire. Compelling desire. The first is definite purpose. The second is a compelling desire. This ties back to purpose, but it stands out on its own because you have a why. What is your why? It is what you want your life to look like when you are 65. But you have a desire, because the wanting can be a wishing rather than a willing. When you have a compelling desire, you are willing yourself to do what you want to do. what you need to do, what you have to do. When we say, I am willing to go with you, it means I have the desire to go with you. But a lot of the time, the word willing in this context is used with an attachment to an external desire. But when it is inside, I'm never going to be able to will myself into something that I'm not drawn to and I'm not pushed to by an internal desire, compelling desire. In fact, the other way to label it is a burning desire. A burning desire. I have a burning desire to create the kind of life that will give me energy every day, that will give me freedom every single day, where even if I have not earned the money I want, I have not created the legacy I want, I have not manifested the impact I want, I can enjoy that freedom today, knowing that I am doing everything I need to do to get there. A compelling desire will give you the energy you need to remain tenacious, to remain persistent in pursuit of your vision. So that by the time you are 65, that is not the time when the desire is manifesting. Rather, the desire is culminating in 65. Of course, I want to live beyond 65. I want to be around when I'm 75 and 80, and I'm still able to stand before an audience, or maybe sit before an audience and still be able to influence them, to be able to stimulate them to think, to also continue growing in myself. A compelling desire. Do you have a compelling desire backing up your overarching goal? Do you have a compelling desire? Do you truly have a compelling desire? Score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How much desire do you have in the vision that you are pursuing? How much desire do you have behind your goal? Give yourself an overall score right now on your desire. How compelling is your desire? Weak desires lead to a weak level of energy. Weak desires lead to weak action. Weak desires lead to weak habits. Weak desires lead to the ease with which people give up. Nobody who has a compelling desire is waiting to give up at the earliest sign of any defeat. That is the second pillar of persistence, of tenacity. How do you become tenacious? Number one, you need a definite purpose. Number two, you need a compelling desire. Number three, you need definite goals with clear plans. And it has to have those two parts. We have been working on making sure that each of us has the mindset and inclination to easily write down goals, to generate goals. Where, for example, suddenly you lose your job, you don't get stuck because you have been training your mind to generate goals. Suddenly you have somebody bless you with money, I don't know from where, but let's say you suddenly have access to money that you did not plan for. You have been training your brain to come up with goals. You don't end up stuck with this money, you start wasting this money. You find a way to apply this money because your brain has been generating goals which have been sitting with you. You have a list of goals in your diary. You can come up with 10 new goals right now and rank those goals and decide from these goals, I think this goal is important enough in building the vision I want when I'm 65. So the first is a definite purpose. The second is a compelling desire. How compelling is your desire? But these two will be useless unless pillar number three is active. Definite goals with clear plans. And now this week, we begin to move beyond just having the goals. So that the goals that you have been writing, I hope that there are some goals that have become so natural for you to write. They have become so clear, they come out so easily that now we have to start considering, how do we make these goals a reality? Your assignment today is to take your overarching goal and write down 50 possible things you could do to achieve this goal if time, money, and skills were not, if you didn't have any limits, if money was not a limit, if skills was not a limit, if not knowing how it was not a limit, if not having the right people to support you was not a limit, if there was no limit, what 100 different things could you attempt? Your aim is to get to being able to sit down and write 100 different ideas. You are stimulating your mind to pick within your environment opportunities you have not even thought about, to pick within your environment options and choices you hadn't even thought about. Write down, aim for now to get to 50, but eventually, because this is your overarching goal for the next one and a half, almost 1.5 months until the end of the year, this is your overarching goal. You have, I hope that it's now a definite goal, your overarching goal. If it's not a definite goal, we need you to have a definite goal. For this goal, this overarching goal, what plans would it require? And you start by to get to a level of having amazing plans, having audacious plans, having courageous plans, having plans that make you feel nervous, by embracing the willingness to allow into your awareness all possible ideas about what you could do. What you could do might be call a local radio station and ask them to maybe reach out to a certain group of people. It might be to speak to 100 different people. If you are, for example, wanting to become a speaker, it might be that it becomes your challenge, an uncomfortable challenge for you to say, to greet and look into the eyes of 300 strangers between today and the end of the year. You go up to them and say, hey, how are you? Look them in the eye and tell them, I'm trying to overcome this nervousness, and that's why I'm doing this. What ideas come into your mind that you could do, that you could utilize, so that when you create plans, you are not creating plans from your current experience. You're creating plans from a higher possibility, a possibility that makes you nervous, because that is how you grow. That is how you transcend. That's how you break out and break through your current resistance, your current comfort zone. That's how you break through. You have goals, you have a purpose, you have a compelling desire, but now we have to start moving from goals to clear plans. The third pillar for tenacity, for persistence, for single-mindedness is clear goals, definite goals with a clear desire. The fourth pillar for tenacity, for persistence, for single-mindedness, for resoluteness. The fourth pillar for perseverance, despite what comes your way in your journey. The fourth pillar is effective habits. Effective habits. We have said a lot about habits since we started this 90-day breakthrough challenge. Some of the previous videos on our YouTube channel will carry that content, and you can find it there. The habits you have at the end of the day, the habits you have create your life. What we forget is that physical habits are very easy to notice, but did you know that the most important habits are your emotional habits? Each one of us has an emotional home they live in. What is your habitual emotion? Is it your ultimate, is it your highest quality emotion? What is your habitual emotion? I'm sure you know people whose habitual emotion is to complain, whose habitual emotion is to gossip, whose habitual emotion is to criticize. And you also know people whose habitual emotion is to say thank you. People whose habitual emotion is to be persistent. What is your habitual emotion? Would you like to take the word tenacity or replace it with another word that is a synonym and that inspires the attitude of tenacity and persistence and resoluteness and single-mindedness and focus? Would you like to take that and try this month to make it your home emotion, so that every single day this month, you think about this new emotion, so that you feel the emotion around this idea? Take your 3 core values. I'd suggested that all of you narrow down to 3 core values. From the ones you had come up with, be able to say them out, the 3 of them, and have a gesture that accompanies each of them. I am intentional. That's one of my core values, especially during this season. I am intentional, and I do it so that I feel it. I am rigorous, and that is the gesture. So I feel it. I am rigorous. I am rigorous. If I am reading, if I'm studying, if I'm writing, if I am thinking, I am rigorous. And when I'm making my plans, I am intentional, and I do it in such a way that I feel it. You need effective habits, but this cannot just be physical habits. I will shower at this time, I sleep at this time, I make my bed, I clean up my house, I organize my clothes and my books. It can't be just that. It has to be, we have to pay close attention to our emotional habits. You know why? And this can be one of the most uncomfortable things to hear, one of the most uncomfortable things that I had to come to grips with. Quitting, which is the opposite of tenacity, quitting has nothing to do with where you are and everything to do with who you are. When you quit, you do not label the circumstances you are in, you label yourself. Because we quit, often we quit in circumstances where someone else would not have quit. We quit at a time when someone else who was more persistent would not have quit. Quitting has nothing to do with where you are, but everything to do with who you are. So the question is, who do you want to be? Because whether or not I would embrace the identity of being a quitter, anytime I take up something and quit, I am a quitter. Anytime I take up a project and quit, I am a quitter. Anytime I take up a new habit and quit, I am a quitter. Quitting has nothing to do with where I am, but everything to do with who I am. Quitting is an inside game. Persistence is an inside game, the same thing to quitting. Quitting is an inside game. Before you quit outside, before you do not show up for the meeting, you have to not have shown for the meeting inside. Before you do not show up for the goal or habit, you have to not have shown for the goal or habit inside. Quitting is first an emotional game before it becomes a physical game. And so my effective habits and your effective habits cannot just be physical. They have to be emotional. What is my emotional game? What is my emotional home? What is my emotional habit? What is my emotional disposition? What is my emotional standard? Before I manifest a physical standard, I have to have an emotional standard that even far outweighs the physical standard, because the physical standard takes time to manifest, but the emotional standard, the feeling, creating that emotional home of resoluteness, of consistency, of self-belief, of self-respect, of self-leadership, that is something I can do today. I can know right now whether I have truly made the decision, whether emotionally I have created a definite purpose, whether emotionally I've created a compelling desire, whether emotionally I have bought into the goals I have, the definite goals I have, and the clear plans that I'm developing, whether I am developing effective habits, because it is an internal game first before it becomes an external game. Pillar number 5. Pillar number 5 for developing tenacity, for developing persistence, for becoming single-minded and dogged and resolute and perseverant in the face of any obstacles. Pillar number 5 is consistent willpower. Consistent willpower. And willpower can be very flaky. Willpower can be very flaky because willpower requires you to talk yourself into doing what you don't feel like doing. And that is many times a losing game, because there is no one. You think 1, 2, 3-year-old children are hard to get to do things that you want them to do? Wait until it's you. Wait until you don't feel like it. Wait until you feel tired. You feel distracted. You feel hungry. You feel sleepy. You are the hardest person to lead. You are so hard to lead. And I'm wishing that maybe when I come to watch this video, I would want to hear me saying those words to me, because I'm so hard to lead. Sometimes I say these words into the mirror and I end up laughing at myself. I'm like, Mogire, you are so hard-headed. You are so hard-headed. You know why you need to do this. You know the journey that this is leading to. And you know that you have to bring yourself to doing what you don't feel like doing, because feeling like doing it is not a requirement for doing it. Willpower is so flaky, yet you need it. In the initial days, when you are building effective habits, when you are creating a compelling desire, when you are building a definite purpose, in the very initial days, you will be excited and the excitement will carry you, but soon you have to rely on your willpower. And unfortunately, willpower is not always a muscle that is already trained and strong and ready to be used in accomplishing some of these amazing goals that we want. And so it is going to be my long-term view and your long-term view that compels us to build the muscle of willpower. So that once the excitement is gone, when you have started implementing, maybe it's the new year and you have new resolutions and it's 2nd January, it's 4th January, it's 10th January, you are still excited. Willpower doesn't really need to show up. You need to continue building it in doing the other things that you don't necessarily enjoy. But the time that willpower really becomes necessary is when you start getting bored, when you start getting distracted, when you start getting comfortable. Far too many people find themselves retiring and they have spent the majority of their life comfortable. Unfortunately, being comfortable does not help you escape the regret, because deep inside you know what you are capable of. You know today what you were capable of that you haven't accomplished. And if you have truly accomplished what you are capable of today, you are the happiest person right now. This year, you know what you are capable of. You might not know it specifically, but you definitely know that you are capable of more. You are capable of more consistency and of more discipline, of more action, of more clarity. You are deserving of more respect, of more worth financially, emotionally, in terms of your skills. You know that deep inside. Unfortunately, that is going to be the source of permanent regret. And I would rather take action now. I would rather push myself now to do what I need than regret when what I would have needed to do is beyond reach. When I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the opportunities, I don't have the finances, I don't have the networks, I don't have the support. The time has so gone that whatever I would have needed to do is irrelevant. When it's too late for me to learn that skill because everything has changed, when it's too late for me to transform my health because I have already had a heart attack. Because unfortunately, people in our generation, the majority of us, by the time we are 60, 65 to 70, it's an unfortunate fact, and I say this as a physician at the forefront of healthcare, seeing what is happening. Unfortunately, heart attacks and strokes are going to be the most common thing. Just the same way obesity has become so common that people being overweight has almost become a natural thing. I have fought every day. I'm continuing to fight with my weight. And I didn't realize how quickly I slipped in. What will it take for you to do what's uncomfortable? What is it going to take for you to develop willpower so that it's ready like a muscle? When you need it, you deploy it. What is it going to take for you? One of the ways to develop willpower that I have found really works is to do small things with high intention. Small things, making your bed. It is the things you do at the beginning of the day, immediately you wake up. If you use them as a way to develop willpower, it becomes very easy for you to sustain that momentum throughout the day. If you are not making your bed, you are sacrificing one of the easiest, quickest, and most impactful activities that seems like, I mean, what's making a bed? But try it. If you're not doing it, try it. and not making your bed when you've gone and eaten breakfast. No, immediately you get out of bed. And even if you have children who will jump into the bed and ruffle it up, the aim of this activity is for you to practice your willpower and figure out what else can you utilize to develop your willpower as a muscle so that the day you need it, it is available. You are going to need it. You're going to need your willpower as soon as the goals you set become boring, so that you continue, not because you feel like it, but because you choose to go. You are willing. You say, I will do this, whether or not I feel it, so that you show up and do it even after the emotion in which you set the goal or made the commitment has died. Because doing it, feeling like doing it is not a requirement for doing it. Feeling like showing up is not a requirement for showing up. Feeling like exercising is not a requirement for exercising. You and I have to be very intentional because we are living in a generation of stroke, generation of heart attack. I'm seeing those things happen to very, very young people, very young people. We have to grapple with the reality. What will it take for me and you to do what's uncomfortable because we know it's important to do it whether or not we feel like doing it? All right, let's move on to pillar number 6. Pillar number 6. Pillar number 6 for self-reliance, for resoluteness, for persistence, for tenacity and perseverance, for single-mindedness. Pillar number 6, I have already mentioned it. It's internal self-reliance. And I am sure that sounds to you like an oxymoron, and it is an oxymoron. I could have said self-reliance, but it needs to be internal self-reliance. You are going to face distractions. You are going to face competing priorities. You are going to come across so many ideas. At the end of the day, tenacity requires the first discipline we spoke about yesterday, narrowing your focus to concentrate your attention on the wildly important goals. It's going to require self-reliance. And self-reliance can sound like willpower, but self-reliance is the attitude that whatever you need is your responsibility to find a way to make it happen. So that if you need willpower, you know that you need to build willpower. It's going to require you showing up and doing things that are uncomfortable. At the end of the day, self-reliance is what anchors you down to realize that it is you who has to show up. It is you who has to choose. If you are a tree, it is you who has to develop the roots. If you are a river, it is you who has to flow along the banks until you can create a waterfall that can be used to generate energy. Self-reliance, deciding that this is my life, that yes, I can explain what happens in my life that is as a result of what other people have done. But at the end of the day, the accountability to decide what I will do with my life, with my time, how I will build up and utilize my energy, how I will direct my attention. It is my responsibility. The buck stops with me. At the end of the day, the buck stops with me. No explanation can excuse your lack of progress when the day of regret comes. No explanation will suffice to excuse you for lack of progress when the day of regret comes. No matter what you face, at the end of the day, when you are 65 and 70 and 75, the only question will be, did you do what you could with all you had to become the best you are capable of? And the answer is yes or no. If the answer is no, you will definitely have some regrets where you have all this experience, but somehow you are still uncertain in yourself. The reason is because you are carrying resources that were never released. You're carrying speeches that were never given. You're carrying articles that were never written. You are carrying conversations that were never had. You are carrying apologies that were never offered. You are carrying a discipline that was never developed, a talent that was never deployed. And I do not want to get there. I want to pour it out. I may not pour it out in every area, but I want to narrow down to the widely important areas in my life and pour it out. Even if it means I have to wake up at 2:30 to show up here. Even if whatever it's going to take, I am willing to do it. And I'm willing to do it because I know that the buck stops with me. It's going to depend on my internal self-reliance. I am no longer a child. When I was a child, I thought like a child and I relied on other people like children do. I am no longer a child. I'm now a grown man. You are now a grown man and a grown woman. Self-reliance. Deciding to explain what happens in your life to such an extent that you begin to eliminate other people's contributions. So that you truly, you become so grateful when other people come along because you haven't counted it as a requirement for you to keep on your journey. When they come along with you, when you guys show up here every day, I'm like, amazing. I am so grateful that you are here on this journey with me. Trust me, I would be here every day discussing this content so that I can hear it, but also creating a permanent record of this information so that when I feel tired, I log on to the YouTube channel and see and challenge myself. How else could I say that? How else could I think about this? How else could I apply this idea? What else have I committed to doing publicly that people know out there? People know my vision. I live a meaningful life by doing my best to learn from all experiences, grow intentionally, and enrich every life I touch. People know that I am pursuing that vision. So whatever happens, I am going to build self-reliance, internal self-reliance, because there is work for me to do. There is a journey for me to go. And anybody that comes along with me, thank you so much for coming. But if nobody shows up, I will show up because I am going to be lying on that bed alone when I'm turning 70 on that day waiting for the birthday celebration. But the birthday celebration is external. Does it have a picture, a corresponding picture inside that is confirmatory so that whether or not there is an external celebration, there is enough internal content for me to feel grateful. Internal self-reliance. That's your sixth pillar for developing tenacity. The seventh pillar, the seventh and final on this, we could have 20 pillars, but let's work with this seven. The final pillar, the seventh pillar for developing resoluteness, for developing tenacity and persistence, perseverance and doggedness and resoluteness and relentlessness. The seventh pillar is accurate perspective. Accurate perspective. The seventh pillar for developing persistence is having an accurate perspective. Persistence is not an event, it's a journey. You know where you are going. We are all using 65, where we will get to, as a way to keep us on the journey. You're going to 65, but you need an accurate perspective. You have to see your skills accurately. Sometimes I find people trying to pursue a goal that is totally not aligned to their skills or their personality. This is always a difficult balance and a sensitive balance, because I do not want people to give up on doing something just because they don't think they can. But I also don't want people to pursue a goal that is totally not aligned to them, or to spend so much time learning something that they will never become world-class in, while ignoring another area that they will be paid for, they have passion for, and they can become world-class in. Accurate perspective. What is your perspective? Are you viewing your life accurately? Are you viewing your strengths accurately? Your weaknesses accurately? Are you viewing your habits accurately? Are you viewing your progress accurately? Because sometimes we lie to ourselves. Are you viewing your motivations accurately? What is your why? What is the true motivation? Without accurate knowledge, this is about being real and knowing things as they are. What is your age? What's your weight? What's your gender? What is your financial net worth right now? What are your habits? Are you viewing your habits accurately? Do you know in the last 1 year, if you could calculate, how many hours have you spent on social media? How many hours have you invested on Facebook or Twitter, or whatever social media is your go-to? How many hours have you spent soothing rather than growing or expanding? How many ideas have you started acting on and let go? Having an accurate perspective of what if somebody would take a video and watch the video and describe you, what would they describe? What is your current reality? What is my current reality right now? Because wherever we are going, whatever journey we are going, some of us might be in Nairobi wanting to fly to London. Some might be in Nakuru. Some might be in somewhere in a smaller village like Mogire, for example. And some of us might be in such a tiny place up a mountain that we have to walk down the mountain and find a donkey and get on that donkey for 30 minutes or an hour before we get to a place where there are motorbikes, or we call them boda boda in Kenya. Then all the way until we can find a matatu. Then from there all the way until we can find a bus. And then finally get to Nairobi before we can think of going to the airport to take that flight. So each of us is starting from somewhere, and you have to know where you're starting from. Are your habits on a highway or on a dirt road? If your habits are on a dirt road and you don't know it, and you have already booked your flight, my friend, you will run late and you will hate yourself for it. It will take you longer than you expect. And that is the reality for each one of us. It's going to be harder than we expect. It's going to be more discouraging than we expect. We are going to face more obstacles than we anticipate. Yet, we know how important it is that we get to where we want to go. You need accurate knowledge of where you are, of what it's going to take. You need accurate knowledge of your weaknesses. You need accurate knowledge, accurate perspective of your tendencies. How do you act in the face of an obstacle, in the face of a distraction? How do you act when you are uncertain about what to do next? And these are questions for me to think about and for you to think about, because we need an accurate perspective. Without it, we will be lying to ourselves. I need an accurate perspective of my identity, of my level of clarity, of my habitual energy and what level of energy I want to build. I need accurate knowledge of the goals I tend to drift towards, which may not be my highest goals. I need accurate knowledge, accurate perspective about the things I struggle with. I need accurate knowledge of the skills I need to develop. How is my typing speed if I'm trying to become a writer? If my typing speed is low, I need to accurately know how low. Am I typing at 10 words a minute, 7 words a minute, where I am searching for letter Z and I can't find it on the desk on my keyboard? If it's time management, you need accurate perspective about your ability to manage your time. We get to the new year and we suddenly believe that we are a new person. This is my year. Lies. It's not your year. You are the same person. You still have dirty socks in the house. That's at least a proof. You have dirty utensils from yesterday. You are the same person. A change in the calendar does not create a change in the person. The change must start from internal. Being able to view myself as accurately as possible. And this is a daily battle. To view myself accurately. View my environment accurately. View my skills accurately. View my journey accurately. View my time accurately. Be able to consciously delink from yesterday. delink from last year, delink from when I was in high school. Truly black out all the time that has gone so that I can focus my energy on the time I have now and the time remaining on the journey that I am on. Accurate perspective. And I could give you a list of the areas to have an accurate perspective, but I'm going to leave it to you just from the conversation we have had. If you look at the topics we have covered, from goals to vision, to core values, to your personal principles, to the obituary, or we used it as the 65th birthday celebration, the things that people said, so that there is that what they are saying, but what is the gap? In other words, how different are things right now? And are you viewing them accurately? Are you viewing things with rose-colored glasses or doom-colored glasses? Are you viewing your life as it is? Or are you viewing it better than it is or worse than it is? Because we want to view ourselves as we are so that we can start working on becoming better than we are right now. We want to view our circumstances as they are so that we can work consistently to making them better than they are. If we do not view them accurately, it becomes difficult to create a definite purpose and pursue it. To create a compelling desire that powers us to stay consistent on this journey. It becomes difficult for us to continue pursuing our definite goals and back them up with clear plans. It becomes difficult to create effective habits. If you think you are very consistent and yet you are not consistent, you are spending more time on distractions, especially internet and social media, than on what you need to be working on. If you don't have a clear and accurate perspective, it becomes very difficult for you to work on those habits. If you don't have an accurate perspective, willpower will be elusive to you. And of course, self-reliance is, who needs self-reliance when they already see themselves as a winner that they are not? Those are the pillars which constitute the tenacity advantage. These pillars, if they become a daily part of your life, especially being able to view each of these areas accurately, if they become a daily part of your life, you will enjoy the tenacity advantage, where you start to operate at a higher level. Now, I want us to combine this into just 4 steps so that you will use the content we've discussed under the 7 pillars, but distill them down into these 4 steps. So call them the 4 steps of tenacity. Just another way to express the same content and give our brain another chance to grasp it and absorb it. The 4 steps. The first one is create a definite purpose, create or develop or generate a definite purpose powered by a compelling desire. So give yourself a chance to put these 2 things together so that you don't see them as disparate. And even if we didn't work on any step, even if this is all we did, this will create a level of energy that raises us and powers us in such a way that we begin to move with such tenacity and such persistence. Generate or create a definite plan, a definite purpose, powered by a compelling desire for the fulfillment of this purpose. So think through your life. Think about your overarching goal. Think about you at 65. What is the purpose? And what is the desire? And how do you put these 2 things together? Purpose is the lag measure that will eventually manifest, the massive lag measure. But the desire is the source of the electricity, the energy, the daily invigoration that leads you there. That's the first step. The second one is craft definite plans expressed in continuous action. Craft definite plans. Craft definite plans expressed in continuous action. In other words, when you call it continuous action, it means that these are going to be habits, effective habits. And the habit is effective if it has a clear outcome. A clear outcome, and It utilizes only the time that it needs to utilize for you to achieve the result that that habit is giving you. One of the most ineffective habits is browsing the internet. When we are trying to, for example, write a report, the biggest waste of our time is browsing the internet. Because you know what happens is, browsing the internet is walking into other people's brains. Most of the time we are walking into other people's brains as a shortcut when our brain is capable of generating the same content, except we have not put ourselves down to the paper and forced ourselves to bring that content out. And so we end up becoming reliant on other people instead of being self-reliant. If you have a definite purpose fused with a compelling desire, and out of this you craft definite plans and you express them as continuous action. In other words, the plan is broken down into high value activities which are implemented every single day, continuous action, so that your success is not measured by the outcome, but whether or not you are showing up. And that's how you switch away from the lag measure, the eventual outcome, to the present. Are you expressing continuous action today? Because if you are expressing continuous action today, you don't have to worry about the eventual outcome. What's meant to come out of this pursuit, this goal, this vision, this purpose will manifest. Step number 3, make a definite commitment. Make a definite commitment for persistence. A definite commitment for persistence. In other words, commit to persistence despite whatever obstacles you would face. Make a definite commitment to persistence. Make a definite commitment to persistence. And this is what you have to get ready to do on 28th. What is it that you are willing to stake the next 1 month on, so that you test yourself and see whether you are ready? Are you truly willing to stake your every day for the vision you have at 65? We will start with just what you can do in a month, and stake your commitment on it, a commitment to persistence despite whatever obstacles will come your way. Are you ready? Are you ready to commit that I am going to do it? I may not know how to do it. I may not know that part, but I know that I have decided to do it. So the doing is going to come, but I have already done it internally. I have already decided internally. Commitment, when you commit, commitment means it is done. It is done. And that's why the word I do is used in weddings. People say I do, and yet they are going to need to be doing for the next 50, 60 years together. You do, and that is how you do. You do now, I do. In other words, I do commit. I do commit. I have gotten into this, so that you will never be single again from that goal. Once you have married that goal, you will only be divorced from this goal, but you will never be single again, because you have committed yourself to persistence. You have committed to tenacity, to resoluteness, to single-mindedness. You have fused your identity with this goal, and you will never be separated again from this goal, at least for the duration that you have committed to. Remembering that there is a start line for which you need a clear perspective, an accurate perspective. Then there is the finish line, which is your lag measure, where you are heading, what you will eventually accomplish. And there is a deadline, so that you have urgency to get to that end. And finally, the 4th step is a clear direction with specific milestones to measure progress. A clear direction with specific milestones to measure progress. A clear direction with specific milestones. So when I told you, you have definite goals with clear plans, From on the clear plans, I gave you the assignment to write out for your current overarching goal, write out up to 50 different ways that you can accomplish this goal. Those 50 ways become the source of your high value activities. And then you create the milestones from measuring how frequently you're going to show up and for how long you're going to show up to perform these high value activities. For James, reading for a specific number of hours every single day for how long? That's how you create the milestones so that you commit today that by the next 30 days, you will have read for how many hours. And so that if it happens that on a particular day, you are only able to read for 3 hours, you know the deficit you have. It means the following day you have to read for 6, and then another day read for 6 so that you compensate for those extra hours. And that way, by the end of the month, when you have the milestone to have read for 120 hours, you are not short of 10 hours or 15 hours. That helps you stay consistent, but it also gives you an accurate perspective about what you have to do and where you are. You can always tell where you are, and you can tell whether you are headed in that direction. So you have a clear direction. What is the direction? I am going to 120 hours of writing or of reading, or I'm going to 4,000 words written for if you are wanting to become a writer. And therefore, it's easy. That's the direction. It's easy to have the milestones. Every road you travel, if you are traveling from, you're flying from Europe, coming to Africa, there are milestones that tell the pilot where they are. You need milestones. I need milestones for me to be consistent. That is the tenacity advantage that we've spoken about today. I hope you picked something that is going to be practical that you will utilize. If I could say one final thing that I have already said, remember, quitting has nothing to do with where you are, but everything to do with who you are. Who are you choosing to be when you set goals and you don't pursue them? I'm going to conclude the presentation part of this session there so that we can have a quick reflection from the people who are on the Zoom call today. As usual, I would like us to continue doing the bit that we introduced. So you reflect, then you tell us, I commit to. So what stood out for you? What did you find most impactful from this discussion we have had? And what do you commit to do? Let's start with Judith.
Okay, hi everyone. So today's session has been good and it has positively impacted the way I view things, and I can just summarize with one sentence that it all rolls to clear goals, like that persistent action towards achieving your clear goals. When you really know what you want and you have the right goals, you are highly likely to achieve them and be determined to pursue them no matter what. So these goals are like, they must be true to you, and that must show some drive or give you some drive towards them because it's something that is so compelling to you. So at the end of the day, I think I need to refine my goals, and I think I already have the goals, but I want them to drive me. I want those goals that should be part of me. And I commit to pursue the goals I have no matter what the challenges that I will face. I will commit to pursue it because I found it like it took me, okay, I don't want to say like surprise or anything, but it hit home when you say that you rather take action now than regret later. So I just need to take time to do this because time is not on my side and time will always be moving. So I need to take the action and I commit to do it.
Wow. Thank you, Judith. I won't even add anything else. You said it with such resoluteness that I can almost touch it. Thank you for sharing that gift with us. Let's welcome Ndungi back and hear his reflection.
Yeah, good day to everyone on the call. Thank you for the welcome back. For me, I joined the call a little bit later, but from what you've spoken to about, I'm committed to not feeling like, but choosing to. That's all I can say for now because I am still internalizing much of the content. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ndungi. Let's hear from Elena.
Hi, everyone. Today's topic has really brought home things that I've been reflecting on over the past year. My three biggest takeaways are having an accurate perspective. The particular sentence that hit home was that how many ideas have you started and let go? And how accurate is your perspective of your journey? Also having internal reliance, self-reliance. It gets to a point where you can't be waiting for somebody to bail you out. You are your own savior. So that also hit home. And having effective habits, especially emotionally, it's something that you don't really take mind of. I think at times you're focused on academic or career achievements. So that would be an interesting exercise to reflect on. And yeah, the assignment about the 50 possible ways to achieve your overarching goal. Then bringing it all together at 65, how compelling is my desire towards my overarching goal? Yeah, those are very many things that I need to reflect on, and it's really coming together.
Thank you, Elena. Yes, I would tell you without a doubt, everyone, that the sessions for this week, they are deliberately meant to pull pieces together. And all these sessions are ordered in such a way that at the end of the day, anyone going through this series would be able to find a combination that works for them, so that you do not feel compelled to go a particular way. But definitely this week, especially, and this is about action. So I definitely I know what you're saying, Elena. And yes, today's session is one for you to watch not once, probably twice or three times, and to watch it at a time when you are not taking any notes, when you literally just sit to watch and listen. If you watch it on YouTube, sometimes just put it at 1.25 or 1.5 speed and challenge yourself to just listen in. It takes you shorter, but to listen in and see, you will hear things that came up during the session that you didn't catch in that initial time. Let's hear from James.
Thank you. The session today was quite intense. It's as if as we go, the intensity is just increasing. And it takes me back to the beginning of the challenge, back to my that lifetime, I think, when I was working with Hitler. And I disagreed that people learn by taking in content and, it sticks to our minds, and suggested instead that we come packed with all the knowledge we will ever need, all the skills that we will ever require. But learning simply allows us to, exposing ourselves to that content simply allows us to recognize it from within us. So that a doctor becomes a doctor, not because he has been fed content, but because he was a doctor from the very beginning. It is just that now he can recognize it. And I realized that what we are doing now is we are setting standards upon which we will judge ourselves, not even by the goals that we are setting, but by making ourselves aware of what we can do. When we get to a point, we're not getting to a point of knowing what we can do, the lead measures, the lag measures, everything we're making ourselves aware of. They are merely standards we're setting to judge ourselves, and I really do not want to get to 65 and look back with regret. I do not want. So it has really, really it has really, really been key to how I have internalized the point on consistent willpower. Knowing that I can decide to take this as a joke, I can decide to go through this tentatively, because it is so easy to go with the flow when you have high energy and everything you're doing is new and you're excited, but it gets to a point when it all becomes just a little bit boring. And I think this connects again with a point on transitioning deliberately, where we are breaking these energy flows and starting again from a certain point. That because we cannot trust ourselves to always be at peak energy, so it's good that we take over that whole process, and we are breaking and reigniting every time with every new activity to ensure that we are continuing, as opposed to trusting that will just going with the flow, because at times we begin high, but things become boring, as I think some of them are now for me. And just this was a note to myself that I can ignore what I know. I know there are things I should do, but at times I just don't do them. So I can ignore what I know, but they won't ignore me at 65. That knowledge will not ignore me at 65. And I can't run away from myself at 65. That regret will just, it will eat me from within. Which brings me to the point number 7 on accurate perspective. That what I want to do is to know accurately where I am at every single point, so that I can place it, so that I can work it with the formula X to Y by W, and I can start making slow progress, but surely. And my commitment at the end of this session is to face the truth. I commit to facing the truth even when it makes me uncomfortable. Thank you.
Wow, that's a substantive reflection, James. Thank you. Thank you for, that's a gift back to all of us, and I'm very grateful. I know Diba is on the call, but he won't be able to contribute. This has been amazing. You guys have. I'm trying to stay calm because there is electricity around. I don't want to burn this house down, but it's if you knew the kind of burning determination that I have right now, you'd really envy me. Let's plug in, and let's do this. Let's do this. This week is action. We have one more structured session, then we will now engage in actually boiling things down to what we need to do in preparation for 28th. And then December is going to be fireworks. December, please, if you have any kerosene nearby where you sit, please put it away, because it's going to be fireworks. Let's keep going, and guys, keep doing what you need to do. Today is final in itself. It's not coming back. Make the remaining hours of this day count, and let's keep aging forward. That will be it from me today. My name is Dr. Job Mogire from the House of Mastery. I look forward to seeing you at the next session.